Hi everybody, it's Annette from The Art of Intuition. Today we're going to talk about the many aspects of ourselves. And what has brought up this topic for me was watching the latest Loki episode on Disney Plus, where he is confronted with a lot of versions of himself. And that is our own spin, or that show's spin, on multidimensionality. Everyone is so obsessed with the multiverse and multidimensionality, and we don't realize when we're in our human aspect that we are multidimensional, and there are many aspects of ourselves. Even some that don't even look like us, which kind of brings us into the funniest line for me, is when you had Alligator Loki and he wasn't even phased. At that point, main Loki was like, you know what, I've seen so much weird shit at this point, I'm gonna let it go, because that's in a sense, all jokes aside, but not really, multidimensionality really is. It really is us looking at so much weird stuff that we actually get to a point where it is nothing phases us. Because when we get into our multidimensionality, the different aspects of us, and that's really what consciousness is. It's trying to merge all those aspects back into one body, in a sense. That's what we're doing. And even on that show, you have the higher aspects of him, which have evolved more, and then the ones that really have it transcended. And you can kind of always tell where you are in your phase when you look at how you react to certain people. Certain people annoy you. Sometimes they can be a higher consciousness than you are, in a sense, but they annoy you because you're not ready to go there yet. Or you can see people that are parts of you you're trying to transcend, and they annoy you too. So you can just actually be annoyed by everybody around you. And in the Loki show, it's, basically he's talking to himself. But in our multiverse, in a lot of ways, we see different aspects of ourselves by the people around us. Everyone around us is a different aspect of us. They can't exist unless they are something about them fits something about us. There's something about that. Sometimes it can be their opposite of us, where if we're a really strong feminine energy, we'll attract very strong masculine people, because it kind of fills a gap, in a sense, something we have not embodied ourselves yet, so they kind of come in to show us that energy. Sometimes it can just be parts of us that we are trying, maybe parts of us that weren't always that honest, parts of us that didn't give 100% to something. And we'll see that kind of play out in our reality quite a bit. And it's just kind of showing us us. And then we get into different aspects, where we get into the aspects that don't even look like us. We get into our galactic aspects. We get into, it gets just as wonky. You got mermaid aspects, you got Atlantean aspects, you got Lemurian aspects, you got energy and aspects all over the place. And it brought us to the question that, it brings us to the question, can the human really change? Like, do the leopards really change their spots? It's kind of something someone said to me a long time ago. A leopard never changes its spots. And in a way, that's true. Our human cannot evolve. People are going to say that's bullshit, but our human aspect is not capable of evolving. Higher aspects of ourselves get embodied in, because every time you go through something, you're raising your frequency. And then you're a different aspect than you were before. It's a different frequency of yourself. It's not that human aspect so much. The human aspect starts to lose a little bit of control as you go up the kind of consciousness food chain, in a sense. The higher up you go, the human becomes a very small part of you. It doesn't actually ever evolve. You just don't listen to it anymore, because you realize there are other aspects of you that you would rather embody those energies than your human aspect. So the human aspect in itself isn't really capable of evolving. It's not meant to evolve. It's just meant to keep you alive. That's what it does, in a sense. But it's not there for any kind of critical junctions in your life. And the Loki show, I think it does a really good job of showing that even though a lot of them kept doing the same stuff over and over and over and over again, they weren't really getting it. But as humans, we do the same thing. We'll do the same thing over and over and over and over again. We usually we can see it in others because it's kind of the mimic of the show. Like I could look at someone else doing the same thing over and over and over and over again. And I'm like, God, don't they see they do the same thing over and over and over again? But it's also a mirror back to myself. Like, look how many times I did the same thing over and over and over again. I did it quite a bit and I didn't really see it and I didn't really understand it. And it goes back into also that old trope, especially in a relationship where you break up with someone and they get in a new relationship quickly sometimes, and all of a sudden they're being all the things you wanted them to be, but they're being it with this another person. It's because they also have different aspects of them, and they can hold a higher aspect of them or touch on that aspect of them. They usually can't hold it. Not if it hasn't been that long, if they haven't really had a chance to kind of clear out all the distortions of that aspect. So they can touch on it for a while and seem like they're being this, air quotes, perfect person, but they can't really hold the energy. Eventually they're going to go back into the kind of their home frequency, wherever that is for them. Whereas the more you raise your vibration, you bring your body up, your home frequency changes. And as your home frequency changes, the people around you start to shift and change. And we can see the people that annoy us for one reason or the other. And we get to really look at why that annoys us. Why do these people repeat the same things? When did I repeat the same things? What am I trying to get to? So it kind of makes us really opens us up. It's funny how we're willing to open up to it on TV, but when people get on and talk about multidimensionality and how we are doing it now, a lot of people are tapping into it now, and you'll tap into it a lot when you're sleeping. In your dream state, you can get higher and higher because your brain's not getting in the way saying, oh, that's not possible. What? There can't be an alligator form of me. Of course there can be. There can be whatever form of you can even comprehend. There's a zillion forms of us. So like we get the galactic aspects don't look like us. But you kind of have to dispel that. After a while, none of that stuff really bothers you anymore because you've seen so much stuff. Like I can say I've seen so much weird stuff, weird to my human aspect. Nothing really gets to me or bothers me anymore because I am completely weathered down to anything being strange. So when anyone comes to me and says the words, gee, Annette, this might sound weird, I'm like, nothing you can say is gonna sound weird. When we start tapping into the multidimensional aspects of ourselves, multidimensionality, looking at ourselves in different timelines, starts when you sleep. So start noticing that more when you're sleeping. I think I'm gonna do a video on sleeping or dreaming. Nothing really shocks us because it's just us. It's us in a lot of different forms, and some are really distorted, and we kind of have to we get past that, but not judge that. And really look at what we judge in this reality, because different people play different parts here. And just because you're not playing out by that part here, doesn't mean you haven't played that part somewhere else. So I think I'm going to end today on that. So don't be afraid to look at multidimensionality and embrace the weirdest forms of yourself. And really ask to see different forms of yourself. Look at who annoys you. Look at what aspects they represent. Look at who you might be avoiding. I've said this a couple times. Some people avoid me quite a bit because they don't want to be around my vibration or my frequency because that's not where they are. So we really can't take any of it personal. But just look at who you're avoiding. And you might be avoiding them for different reasons, but look at the different people around you. Look at different aspects of yourself you've seen when you've slept. Because usually when you dream, you can see a lot more. And pretty much everyone we see in our dreams is an aspect of us, no matter what form they take. They're still aspects of us. The more we ask to embody in those aspects and start to watch what happens, and then you'll become like me and not be shocked at anything whatsoever that happens. So good luck. Keep practicing the art of intuition.